Welcome back, McFly subscribers. We are continuing the Caddis dry fly series today with the Puterbaugh Caddis. Boy, I hope I pronounced that right. A very simple, high-floating, and effective foam caddis. Now, I will discuss this fly in more detail further in the video, as I'm sure you all want to get started tying right away. But in case you haven't seen this channel before, this is McFly Angler.
Starts now.
Okay, let's start tying. Place the hook securely in your vise. For hook, I'm using Risen's barbless nymph 9214 in size 12. This is a standard length nymph hook with a down eye. Now, you might ask, why a nymph hook for a dry fly? First of all, this fly has foam in it, so there will be no problem with it sinking. And second, the extra weight of the nymph hook wire will help ensure that the fly lands right side up. This is also a wide gap hook, which will help with righting the fly. We will also need some thread, and today I'm using Viva's 10-aught in brown. This is a flat thread that is fairly thin, but is still strong enough for what we need it for today. Let's start our thread with about a 2 hook eye length gap from the hook eye, and snip or snap off the waist. Then bring your thread down to the hook bend, and then back up to about the 2/3 mark on the hook shank with smooth wraps, and this will form the thread base. Now for the foam, and you want 2mm foam. Today I'm using brown. Let's measure out about a hook gap width on the foam using our hook on the bottom and top side of the foam. Then we can use these measurements to cut out a strip. Another way you can do this is use one of these Chernobyl ant foam cutters from River Road Creations. You can stamp out a few bodies, however these are kind of pricey, but they do make some really nice bodies. This one is the extra small size, and you can see it's the same diameter as the strip that we cut. The cutter makes a nice taper, which will look good. But I will show you how to achieve this with the strip that we just cut. Okay, now that the strip is cut, we need some super glue, and something with a precision tip like this will be handy. Place the dot on top of the hook shank and spread it out across the top. Place the foam on top of the hook, and wrapping around the hook shank a bit can help with tie-in. Wrap over the foam to catch it, and then continue wrapping to flatten out the tag end. Then cut the rest of the foam off, leaving a body that is slightly longer than the back of the hook gap. Now to round off the foam, touch the back of the foam with the flame very quickly, and then pinch the foam with your fingers. This will taper the back end. Now you don't need to buy those expensive cutters for this fly. Okay, now we need some hair for the wing. I will be using this natural color elk, but you can use lighter bleached elk, or even use whatever color dyed hair that you want. Deer hair as well could work, like this all-purpose deer hair swatch. This fly isn't too picky on what kind of hair you use. Okay, we will also need a stacker and a cheap comb. Cut out some hair, and it's really hard to describe how much hair to cut, so here's a visual representation on how much. Some might call this a half a pencil thickness, but I don't find that helpful. But once you tie a few of these, you can get a better grasp on how much hair that you need. Okay, let's comb out the underfur, and then stick the hair in your stacker with the tips down. Give the stacker a couple firm taps, and now the tips are aligned. Measure out this hair so it extends slightly past the foam body. And I really mean slightly. Do not have this sticking too far out the back. Transfer that measurement to your other hand and make 2 light wraps around the hair to gather it. Then cinch down tight, but don't let go of the wing as it will flare the same as the butt ends. First, let's wind through the butt ends, creeping up the hook shank to about a hook eye length shy of the hook eye, cinching down tight with each wrap. Then come back up through the butt ends and start making light wraps around the base of the wing, creeping backwards with those light wraps. This will lay down the wing a bit, but do not cinch down these wraps or the wing will flare again. Now let's start cutting the butt ends off. I do this in steps, as it will help taper the front portion here and make the next step easier. Now let's start wrapping up and down over the tag ends to cover them and clean up this area. Unfortunately, I did leave some messy wraps, and that can happen, but it's okay, we will clean this up. So we're basically forming a taper from the body and wing down to the hook point. When wrapping back up by the wing, make sure the wraps aren't tight. End with your thread 1 wrap forward from the wing. Now we need some hackle, and I have this beautiful rooster saddle. These will tie thousands of these flies, and the feathers are very long, allowing you to tie multiple flies with just 1 feather. But these are pricey and give you a small range of feather sizes. You could use a cape like this also, which has a range of sizes, but whatever you use, make sure it's a dry fly hackle. Whiting also sells these 100 packs with long saddle feathers in multiple colors, and you can get them in single sizes. What we're looking for is a feather 1 hook size smaller than the hook that you're using. A hackle gauge like this is helpful, but you can also measure against your hook as well. You can see that this feather reaches up to the 14 size, and our hook is a size 12, so I'm going to use this feather. To prepare this feather for tie-in, let's cut off the base portion of the feather, as those feathers are not good. Then strip off a few of the fibers, exposing just the stem. Feathers have a back and front side. The back is usually lighter color and dull, and the fibers point rearward. Looking at the feather from the front side, strip off a few fibers from the right, or in this case the top, as this will help to ensure that the feather winds on correctly and doesn't twist. Tie in the feather with the front part facing forward and that extra stripped area facing the fly with an X-wrap. Then start wrapping up the stem. But first we need to trim the stem off so it doesn't extend past the hook eye. Now let's continue wrapping up the stem until we reach the hook eye. Start hackling the fly now, making touching wraps with your hackle feather. On the first wrap here, hold down the wing and wrap over it, which will further ensure that the wing doesn't flare. Continue wrapping up until you reach your thread, and then capture the feather with a couple wraps over it. Then pull everything rearward and make a couple wraps in front of the feather, creeping back up over the hackle, which will push back any forward-facing fibers. Trim off the remaining hackle as close as you can, and then make a couple more wraps over it to clean up the head. Now we can whip finish the fly, and trim off the thread. To cement the head, I really like this Solarez ultra thin resin. Use a built-in paintbrush around the whip finish on all sides, and then cure it with your UV light. This will cure hard and very quickly, and make the fly incredibly durable. And there we have it, the finished Puterbaugh Caddis. Now some simply call this the foam body caddis, but whatever you call it, the fly simply works. This is a classic pattern that has been around for a long time, and according to Google, it was created in 1964 by Don Puterbaugh, and developed to be very visible in fast-moving riffled water. But it can be fished in many different situations, not just riffles. That foam body makes it possible to fish this without any floatant. However, I do recommend still using floatant, as it can increase its buoyancy. It represents a caddis very well, and can even hold up lighter nymphs due to its buoyancy, fishing it like a hopper-dropper style. It's got decent visibility, so you can see it almost like an indicator, but one with a hook that you can still catch fish with. Foam comes in many different colors as well, so you can tie these to match the hatch of whatever caddis is in your area. Some of my favorites are orange-bodied with brown hackle, to represent an October caddis hatch, an olive body with a light hackle and deer hair wing, chartreuse body, and all black, which I didn't tie up this time. Sorry I don't have that to show you, but you get the idea. You can tie this in whatever colors that you want. You can even wrap the thread under the foam body with some type of body wrap. Here I wrap this with some Flashaboo. So get creative and tie these however you want. Okay, well I'm 3 flies into this Caddis dry fly series for the month. I started off this series with the elk hair caddis, one of the most popular dry flies ever created. Last week I tied up the Goddard caddis for you all, which is one of the highest floating dry flies out there, and perfect for fast moving riffles and skating across the surface to entice more strikes. And of course this week I did the Puterbaugh caddis. Next week I plan on tying up the CDC Bubble Caddis, a beautiful high floating caddis that I believe was originated by Davy McFly, and please tell me if I'm wrong about who originally tied it. Make sure you come back next week to see how to tie this amazing caddis fly, and make sure you're subscribed and click the bell notification so you don't miss any future videos like this CDC Bubble Caddis. By the way, I sell these fly boxes on Amazon with free shipping. They're thin enough to fit in most shirt pockets, or fit multiple boxes in a chest pack, so you can organize your boxes by fly type. And the magnetic back compartments are strong as well, meaning the flies won't come out accidentally. See, I can even turn this upside down and shake the box, yet all the flies stay put. And this really helps when it's windy outside, so your dry flies won't go flying down the river when the wind blows. I will link below to my Amazon storefront if you're interested in picking up these boxes. Also, don't forget to check out my sponsor, Risen Fly. They made the hooks I use today, but they also make some of the best fly rods and reels for the money I have ever used. Best off, they're offering you all a discount. So if you're in the market for a new rod or a bunch of hooks or beads, go to www.risenfly.com and type in McFly at checkout, and they'll give you 15% off of your first order with them. Thank you all so much for watching. If you liked this video, please let me know by clicking the like button. Also, if you could share my videos with all your fishing friends, I would really appreciate it. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.